The prevailing narrative in modern dating suggests that the more a man invests, the more likely he is to secure the commitment of the woman he desires. This is a fallacy, rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of how human desire is structured. Desire is not a reward for labor. It is a reaction to value, and value is intrinsically linked to scarcity. When a man strategically withdraws his interest, he is not merely playing a game. He is recalibrating a dynamic that has likely become skewed. Most men fail because they confuse being available with being valuable. They believe that by providing a constant stream of attention, validation, and emotional support, they are building a foundation for a relationship. In reality, they are often saturating the market of their own presence, leading to a depreciation in how they are perceived. To understand what happens when a man stops chasing, one must first look at the biological and psychological frameworks that govern female attraction. Women are evolutionarily wired to be highly observant of social status and resource allocation. In a tribal context, the man who spent all his time seeking approval was rarely the man who led. The man who was focused on his mission, who was selective with his attention, and who possessed the internal fortitude to walk away was the one who commanded respect. When you withdraw your interest, you are effectively shifting from the role of a seeker to the role of an observer. This transition is not passive. It is an active reclamation of your psychological autonomy. By the end of this analysis, you will understand the intricate mechanics of how a woman processes this withdrawal and how it transforms her perception of your worth. We must first debunk the myth that silence is a sign of weakness, or that it will automatically lead to being forgotten. The human brain is actually more attuned to changes in patterns than to the patterns themselves. If you have been consistent in your attention, your absence becomes a loud, undeniable signal. It creates a cognitive dissonance that the female mind must resolve. This is where the biological wiring of attention comes into play. Attention is the currency of the dating world. When you provide it without condition, you are engaging in a form of hyperinflation. By withdrawing it, you are implementing a sudden contraction of that currency, forcing a revaluation. This revaluation occurs through 6 distinct behavioral phases that a woman typically experiences when she realizes a man is no longer pursuing her with the same intensity. Understanding these phases allows a man to remain stoic and centered, rather than being pulled back into the cycle of over-pursuit by her initial reactions. The first phase is the subtle realization of the shift. This is often triggered by the micrometrics of modern communication. Perhaps it is the length of time between text messages, the lack of follow-up questions during a conversation, or the absence of the habitual check-in that she had come to expect. At first, she may shrug it off, attributing it to your schedule or a temporary distraction. However, as the pattern of withdrawal persists, the realization deepens. She begins to notice that the gravity of the interaction has shifted. You are no longer the one orbiting her. You have become a stationary sun, and the lack of pull is palpable. This leads directly into the second phase, which is confusion and internal dialogue. This is a period of hyper-analysis where she begins to question the reason for the change. In the absence of information, the human mind creates its own narratives. She will ask herself if she did something to offend you, if you have found someone else who is more interesting, or if you have simply grown bored. This phase is critical because it marks the moment her focus shifts from her own feelings about you to your feelings about her. This reversal of focus is the primary mechanism of reattraction. When a man is chasing, the woman is focused on his behavior. When he stops, she is forced to focus on her own value in his eyes. This internal dialogue creates an emotional investment that was previously absent because your attention was guaranteed. The third phase is the validation probe. Sensing the loss of her hold over your attention, she will often reach out with low-effort engagement to see if she can still elicit a response. This might be a casual text, a social media interaction, or a brief mention of a shared memory. These are not signs of sudden, deep love. They are tests designed to gauge if your interest is still accessible. If a man responds with immediate enthusiasm, he confirms that his withdrawal was temporary or a tactic, and the value of his attention drops once more. If he remains detached and measured, he confirms that his focus has truly shifted. This leads to the fourth phase, which is the competitive flare. If the validation probes fail to bring him back into his previous role, her subconscious may trigger a desire to demonstrate her own high value or options. She might become more active socially, post content that highlights her desirability, or subtly mention other men. This is an instinctive attempt to re-establish her position as the prize. For the Stoic man, this is the most important time to remain unreactive. Any sign of jealousy or concern at this stage would validate her tactics. By remaining focused on your own path, you demonstrate that your value is not dependent on her validation or her presence. This leads to the fifth phase, respect and recalibration. When her attempts to manipulate the dynamic fail, she is forced to see you as a man of high standards and genuine independence. She begins to view your attention as something that must be earned rather than something that is owed. This is the moment where true respect is born. Respect is the bedrock of attraction. Without it, desire is fleeting and superficial. Finally, we reach the sixth phase, which is either active pursuit or final detachment. If the connection was built on a genuine foundation, the woman will often step up her efforts significantly to bring you back into her life on your terms. She will initiate more meaningful contact and show a higher level of investment. If the connection was purely based on the validation you provided, she may fade away. In either case, you have gained the most valuable asset in any relationship: clarity. You now know whether she valued you for who you are or merely for the energy you expended on her. Moving beyond the phases, we must discuss the long-term strategic advantage of this mindset. A man who is comfortable in his own company and who does not fear the loss of a woman's attention is a man who can never be truly manipulated. This is the essence of the Stoic frame. It is not about being cold or intentionally cruel. It is about having a center of gravity that is located within yourself rather than in someone else. When you live your life with this level of autonomy, you become a magnet for the right kind of people. High-value women are attracted to men who have their own vision and who are not easily swayed by the emotional turbulence of others. They want a partner who can lead, and leadership requires the ability to maintain one's direction even when external validation is withdrawn. To maintain this frame, a man must focus on his own self-actualization. He should be more interested in his career, his physical health, his intellectual growth, and his social circle than he is in any single romantic prospect. This is not a trick to get women. It is a philosophy for living a fulfilled life. When a woman senses that she is an addition to your life rather than the center of it, it creates a healthy tension that keeps interest alive. Constant availability is the death of mystery, and mystery is a key ingredient in the alchemy of desire. We must also address the common pitfall of the relapse. Many men manage to withdraw interest and successfully shift the dynamic, only to cave the moment they receive the first sign of re-engagement. They fall back into the old patterns of over-pursuit, thinking that the battle is won. This is a mistake. The shift in dynamics must be permanent. It is a fundamental change in how you relate to yourself and others. If you go back to your old ways, the woman will quickly lose the respect she just gained. You must remain the man who is willing to walk away if his standards are not met. This is the ultimate power in any negotiation. And dating is, in many ways, a continuous negotiation of value and boundaries. Think of your attention as a high-end luxury good. If a luxury brand suddenly started giving away its products for free on every street corner, the brand would be destroyed overnight. The products haven't changed, but the perception of them has. By strategically withdrawing your interest, you are protecting the brand of your own manhood. You are telling the world that your time, your energy, and your emotional presence are valuable resources that are not to be squandered on those who do not appreciate them. This realization often leads to a profound shift in a man's confidence. He stops looking for cues from the woman to tell him how to feel or act. Instead, he looks inward. He becomes the judge of his own actions. This internal locus of control is incredibly attractive because it signals stability. In a world of chaos and emotional volatility, a man who is grounded is a rare and precious find. Women sense this stability and are drawn to it like a lighthouse in a storm. They will test it, of course, because they need to know if the lighthouse is built on rock or sand. Your withdrawal is one of the ways those tests are resolved. If you can withstand the silence, the confusion, and the subtle games without losing your cool, you prove that your foundation is rock solid. Furthermore, this dynamic reveals the true nature of the woman you are dealing with. A woman with high self-esteem and genuine character will recognize your value and meet you halfway. She will respect your boundaries and appreciate your independence. A woman who is driven by ego or a need for constant validation will react with hostility or more games. By stepping back, you are effectively filtering out the low-value dynamics before they can cause long-term damage to your life. This is the proactive way to build a future. It is better to know the truth early than to be 5 years into a relationship before realizing you are with someone who only values you for what you can provide emotionally. In the final analysis, the dynamic of withdrawal is about the reclamation of the self. It is an acknowledgement that you are the prize in your own life. When you stop chasing, you start living. You find that the world does not end because you didn't text back immediately. In fact, your world often expands. You have more time for your goals, more energy for your friends, and a clearer mind for your decisions. This clarity is the ultimate reward. It allows you to navigate the complex waters of modern dating with a sense of calm and purpose. You no longer have to guess what she is thinking because her actions will tell you everything you need to know. If she reaches out and makes an effort, her interest is real. If she doesn't, she was never truly yours to begin with. Either way, you win. This is the Stoics' path to relationship success. It is not a path of loneliness, but a path of selective, high-quality connection. It requires discipline, patience, and a deep sense of self-worth. It is about becoming the kind of man who does not need to chase because his very presence is the goal. As you move forward, keep this perspective at the forefront of your mind. Do not let the temporary discomfort of withdrawal deter you from the long-term goal of a balanced and respectful dynamic. Stay focused on your mission, maintain your boundaries, and let your silence do the heavy lifting. The results will often surprise you, not because of the games you played, but because of the man you became in the process. True attraction is not something you do to someone else. It is a byproduct of who you are. When you value yourself enough to withdraw your interest from those who take it for granted, you send a message to the universe that you are ready for something better. And in the realm of psychology and attraction, that message is always heard loud and clear. It is the beginning of a new chapter, where you are no longer the one waiting for a response, but the one who determines the pace of the interaction. This is where your power lies. It is silent, it is steady, and it is absolute. The journey of understanding these dynamics is one of constant refinement. You will encounter different personalities and varying levels of resistance, but the core principles remain the same. Human nature is remarkably consistent across cultures and time. The desire for what is rare and the respect for what is independent are universal traits. By aligning your behavior with these truths, you are not fighting against the current. You are using it to propel yourself forward. This isn't just about women. It's about the mastery of social energy in all its forms. Whether in business, friendship, or romance, the man who can control his own investment is the man who holds the keys to the room. He is the one who can negotiate from a position of strength because he is not desperate for a specific outcome. He is content with himself, and that contentment is the ultimate aphrodisiac. It creates an aura of self-sufficiency that is both intimidating and intoxicating. It challenges the woman to be her best self to match his level of excellence. This is the virtuous cycle that replaces the vicious cycle of chasing and rejection. It leads to relationships that are based on mutual admiration rather than mutual dependency. In such a dynamic, both partners are free to be themselves because neither is afraid of the other walking away. The threat of withdrawal is always there, but it is not used as a weapon. It exists as a natural boundary that keeps the relationship healthy. It ensures that neither person is taken for granted. To conclude this exploration, remember that the goal is not to become a hermit or someone who avoids emotional connection. The goal is to be a man who connects from a place of choice, rather than a place of need. Withdrawal is the tool that helps you make that distinction. It is the filter that separates the noise from the signal. Use it wisely, use it stoically, and most importantly, use it to build a life that you are proud of, regardless of who is by your side. When you reach that state, you will find that the very thing you stopped chasing is the thing that starts chasing you. This is the great irony of attraction, and once you master it, you will never look at relationships the same way again. The internal shift you experience when you truly realize that you are enough on your own is the most powerful attraction trigger in existence. It changes your body language, your tone of voice, and the way you look at the world. You no longer project an energy of, "Please choose me." Instead, you project an energy of, "I have chosen myself, and you are welcome to join me if you can add value to this journey." This shift is the turning point from being a boy who seeks approval to being a man who provides direction. It is the moment you step into your full potential. The psychological reactions of the woman are merely the confirmation of this internal transformation. Her confusion, her testing, her eventual respect, these are all indicators that she is sensing a higher version of you. Treat these reactions as data points, but do not let them become your motivation. Your motivation must remain your own growth and your own integrity. If you do this, you will find that the dynamics of attraction naturally fall into place. You will no longer feel the need to study moves or lines because your natural behavior will be aligned with high-value principles. This is the ultimate form of mastery. It is where strategy becomes identity. As you go out and apply these insights, stay grounded in the stoic reality that you can only control your own actions and reactions. Let go of the need to control her response. By letting go, you actually gain the only kind of control that matters: control over your own state of mind. This is the foundation of a powerful life. It is the end of the chase and the beginning of the attraction that lasts. The phases of withdrawal are not just a map of her mind, but a mirror of your own progress. Every time you hold your frame in the face of her silence or her tests, you are strengthening your own psychological muscle. You are becoming more resilient, more confident, and more capable. This is the true benefit of the process. The woman may come or she may go, but the man you build through this discipline will remain. That man is the one who will ultimately attract the life and the partner he truly deserves. The strategic withdrawal of interest is, therefore, an act of self-love. It is a declaration that you will no longer settle for crumbs of attention when you know you are a full meal. It is the beginning of a higher standard for your life. Embrace the silence, trust the process, and never forget that your attention is a gift. Treat it as such, and others will too. This is the clinical truth of the human heart and the Stoic's guide to the complex world of modern desire. By following this path, you move beyond the games and into the realm of genuine power and authentic connection. Your journey towards self-mastery is the most attractive thing about you. Never lose sight of that, and you will never find yourself chasing again. The world responds to those who know their worth. When you strategically withdraw, you are simply reminding the world, and yourself, exactly what that worth is. Stay the course, remain unshakable, and let the dynamics of desire work in your favor. This is the essence of high-value masculinity and the key to navigating the intricate psychological landscape of attraction. The moment she realizes you have truly lost interest is the moment she finally sees the man you were always meant to be.